yogis, and welcome in. I'm Avani of the Caribe Yoga Academy. Today we have Alex here, a graduate of the Caribe Yoga Academy, to help us do a breakdown of the standing sequence Dancing Warrior. This is a really wonderful, fiery standing sequence that you can take on after you feel like you've really got down Surya A and Surya B. And it also brings in another warrior posture, which is Virabhadrasana 2. All right, so the first round, we'll go through and break down each of the poses and give anatomical landmarks and things to look out for, where you want to find muscular engagement, where we're finding length. And then the second round, I'm going to cue Alex through using active voice and proper body possession so that you can listen in for how you may choose to cue it or pick up some little tips for cueing in your own yoga practices. So let's start. The first part of it, we're going to begin, this is why that Surya A foundation is so valuable. So the first part, in order to get to downward facing dog, is going to be that standard Surya Namaskar A. So we'll start with hands at heart center, and she'll lift her sternum up toward her thumbs and find a little bit of an active press of her hands into one another, so her upper arms engage. Gaze can be soft forward on an unmoving drishti, or even eyes might be closed. And then inhale, reach your arms out wide and high, all the way up. Palms can meet one another, or arms can be shoulders hip distance apart for Utthita Tadasana, an extended mountain pose, or Urdhva Hastasana, upward facing hands pose. With her exhale, she'll hinge at her hips and come all the way forward. This is where your students can catch blocks, or they can bring hands all the way down to the earth. If possible, you want to invite or encourage students to open the crown of their head right down to the earth so there's some traction for the neck spine. And then there's a draw back of the navel toward the lumbar spine and an activation on the top part of the leg so that the whole back line of the body can get long and soft. Knees can also be soft or slightly bent here. Uttanasana. Inhale halfway up to fingertips or to shins, Ardha Uttanasana. Gaze can stay to the earth so that the neck spine is nice and long, and you might encourage your students, depending what level you're teaching, to engage Mula Bandha and Uddiyana Bandha, or you can say something like a fire up of the core to support low back. Then she'll press her palms back down into the earth and step all the way back and find plank pose, Halakasana, shoulders right above elbows and wrists. Press the heels toward the back edge of the mat. Yes. And the whole front side of the body is really firing here. And then in order to drop down toward Chaturanga, there'll be just a very subtle rock forward and then a bend of the elbows toward the ribs. Long neck spine. And then with her inhale, she'll allow the heart to lift and lengthen forward. Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. This can also be done, the Chaturanga, to the up dog with the knees down on the earth. So she's going to make sure the shoulders are drawing down the back and the crown of her head is lifting and that her neck is really long. This time around, the whole back line of the body is strong and engaged. Front side of the body is long. Then roll up and back over your toes. Reach your hips high and back. Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. She'll land her feet about hips width distance apart. The heels may or may not touch the earth. The knees may have a gentle, slight bend to create a little bit more softness for the hamstrings. The fingers can spread out wide and find a rootedness in each of the knuckles. And then if you feel kind of a crunchiness in the upper back, in the space between the shoulders, what you want to look for in the upper arms is a little bit of a roll away from the ears in the upper arms, if that's appropriate for shoulders and elbows, downward facing dog. So in the Dancing Warrior sequence, we'll only take that Chaturanga vinyasa one time, but certainly as you're offering this to students and teaching it in class, you could also take it with each round of the standing sequence, much like in your Surya B. Okay, so then she's going to take one leg up nice and high, the right leg. Work to bring the right hip so that it's even with the left, and then activate the toes. There's a little bit of a dorsiflexion, and a nice long right leg. And then she'll lift her gaze forward and step her right foot all the way up through. Yep. So the foundation this time is for warrior 2. So her back heel spins down, but she's going to look for front heel to mid-arch of the back foot alignment. So it's a little bit more like, it's often stated as like more like a tightrope or balance beam alignment as opposed to railroad tracks or hips width apart. So heel to front arch. And then she's going to go ahead and cartwheel her arms up high and wide for Virabhadrasana 2. So there's a slide of the knee forward, so it's right above the ankle. You can invite your students to take a look down and make sure that they can see their big toe to the inside of the knee. There's a little bit of a tendency for the knee to dip in on the front. They might take their gaze down either arm and make sure that arms are even with the shoulders. They might soften their shoulders slightly down their back. Nice. And then there's an active press in the outer blade of the back foot. The gaze can come forward toward the middle finger of the front hand. And then on the exhale, she'll land her left hand, back hand, to her upper thigh, or for some students it will be below the knee. This is going to be important that it's not right on that lateral edge of the knee behind. And then she'll reach her right fingertips high to the sky for either Parsva or Uttita Virabhadrasana, an extended warrior. Notice she's still got this front knee, this warrior 2 alignment in the lower body, but now she's going to be able to find a lot of length in the right side ribs. You can invite your students to breathe in particular into the right lung, into the right ribs, and there's an equal activation. As deeply as she's bending or pulling forward with the right knee, just as actively she's reaching back with the right fingertips. With her inhale, she'll draw her navel back to her lumbar, and then lift back through toward Vira 2. And then exhale to bring her forearm, front forearm atop her thigh for Parsva Konasana, or extended side angle. Left fingertips reach up and overhead. If it's comfortable for her neck, she can bring her gaze underneath her left elbow. And same thing as the other side as far as equal and opposite action. So her just as much effort as she's putting into this press of the outer blade of her back foot, equally she's reaching up and overhead with her left fingertips, and still with the warrior 2 foundation. Now the last piece is she's going to want to make sure she's not crunching into these lower ribs. So there's a little bit of a press of the forearm onto the thigh. Other variations of this will show on the second side. So draw the lumbar back, or rather draw the navel back to the lumbar, and then go ahead and lift back up to Vira 2. Good. And then with the exhale, she can cartwheel down and frame her front foot. Remember, we're going to skip the vinyasa, step right back and lift your hips high to downward facing dog. If you're teaching a vinyasa practice and it's a little bit more of a fiery flow, that's a very fluid spot to bring in another round of chaturanga and another back bend. Or if like your peak pose is a back bend, that might be a useful addition to your practice. Okay. Let's break that down on the second side. Inhale your left leg high. Active toes towards your shin. Yeah, and then the left hip can drop down just a little bit so that it's even with the right. Yes. And then bring your gaze forward. Step your left foot all the way up through. Right. Same foundation, second side. So she spins the back heel down. Front heel goes to mid-arch. Stack the front knee above the ankle and then lift. So there's a little bit of a tendency in this one for lots of folks to either be leaning forward or reaching forward or leaning back in space. So you can offer your students that same cue that's also useful in Warrior 1, which is a work to align the ribs right above the pelvic bowl. If the ribs are plugged in above the pelvic bowl, you know that that torso is going to be neutral. Nice. And then they might take their gaze down either arm, make sure that they're even with their shoulders. They're reaching out equally, active in both directions. And then we're going to take it back, find that space in the left side rib. So she's going to land her right hand to her thigh or below her knee, reach her left fingertips high up and back overhead, Parsva Virabhadrasana or Uttita Virabhadrasana. Still with the front knee stacked above the ankle. Breath starts to move into left side lung and find space along the left side ribs. She'll inhale to activate Agni, get the tummy strong to support low back, reach back to Vira 2. And then land her left forearm atop left thigh. So this on this side, I want to show some variations for Parsva Konasana. It can stay here with forearm landed to the thigh. She could also take her left hand down onto a block to the inside of her left knee. And some students might enjoy to take the left hand or the front hand, whichever side you're on, all the way down to the earth. So any of those are options to offer to your students. For Parsva Konasana or extended side angle, notice she's still got that warrior two foundation really nice and intact, so the front knee stays bent. And this arm is reaching as actively as she's pressing into the back foot. So they're moving in opposite directions, creating this beautiful length in the whole side body. Then she'll draw navel back to lift all the way up here, two. Nice. And then breathe down to frame your front foot and step back. Right into downward facing dog, your sits bones high. So it's a half a sun salutation, half a Surya A to get back to standing. She'll lift her gaze forward, walk lunge or hop the way up, and lift halfway as she arrives. Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale to fold a little bit more deeply. If it's available for your students, the crown of their head can open to the earth. This is where you get everything engaged to support low back on the lift up. So tummy draws in, quadriceps are strong, and then the arms come out wide and high. Utthita Tadasana. And then she'll breathe her hands together to her heart. Okay, so in this second round of Dancing Warrior, we're moving through active voice cueing, body possession. This may be useful for those of you out in the field teaching, looking for tips on how to clearly articulate the poses to your students. All right, so let's begin. Inhale to draw your hands together to heart center. Rest in here. You can come back to any sort of intention or simply center back into your breath and your body. Samastitihi. With your inhale, bring your arms out wide and all the way up high. If it feels okay with your neck, you can bring your gaze up to your fingertips. And then on your exhale, hinge forward at your hips, come all the way down, forward fold, Uttanasana. You can soften your knees. Let your inhale guide you halfway up. You can slide your hands to your shins or come up to fingertips. Ardha Uttanasana. Get your tummy strong and active. And all in one breath, exhale to root your palms and knuckles, step all the way back and lower just halfway down. Draw your elbows tight to your ribs. And then lengthen your arms, expand your heart forward and find lift. Draw the crown of your head up, upward facing dog. Roll high, up and back with your hips up and over your toes. Adho Mukha Svanasana, step your feet out to the distance apart, and breathe. Reach your right leg high, keep your right hip even with your left. Bring your gaze forward. Take a couple baby steps or one big full sweeping step forward with your right foot, and then spin your left heel down. Make sure your front heel comes to mid-arch. You're at two foundation, and then take your arms out wide. Press active into the back, the pinky toe edge of your back foot, and slide your ribs right above your pelvis. Nice. Exhale to land your left palm to your upper thigh or to your knee. As you do that, reach your right fingertips way high and back, and then sink a little bit deeper into your front knee. Nice. Utthita Virabhadrasana. Draw your navel to lumbar, lift back toward warrior two. And then exhale, land your front forearm atop your thigh. Reach your left fingertips high up and overhead. Parsva Konasana, still sinking deep into that front knee and pressing actively into your pinky toe edge. Nice. Reach actively through left fingertips. And then on your inhale, lift all the way back with your two. Exhale to sweep your arms all the way down. Step back. You can vinyasa or rate to down dog. Take a breath. And then inhale your left leg high. Toes active. Nice. Bring your gaze forward. Take a big step or a couple baby steps up through so your left foot leads. Spin your right heel down. Check that alignment from front heel to the middle of your back arch. And then rise up high with wide wings. Yeah, scoop your wrist. She knows these cues by heart now. Yeah, scoop those ribs back. Both arms are extended equally and actively. And allow your right hand to find a home either to your thigh or to your calf. As you do that, reach your left fingertips high. You can bring your gaze to fingertips or under your elbow. Sink deep into your front knee. Breathe into left side lung. Inhale with a strong belly, right back to center, here at 2. And then exhale right down to your side ankle. So left forearm can come top your thigh, right fingertips reach up and overhead. Now equal activation in your reaching right fingertips as in your pressing pinky toe edge behind you. Lots of length. And then inhale right back up here at 2. And exhale, cartwheel it all down. Straighten your front foot, step back, lift your hips high and back, unless of course you want to, vinyasa. Bring your gaze to the top edge of your mat. Walk, lunge, or hop your way forward. Right to a halfway lift. Find fingertips or slide your hands up your shins. Exhale to deepen your fold. You can draw pelvic floor up, draw navel back. And then keeping your belly strong, reach your wingspan out wide and come all the way up to the sky. Sweep your gaze up to your fingertips. Breathe your hands together to your heart. Samasthiti. Thank you so much. Thank you, yogis. That's Dancing Warrior Sequence. Please leave any questions or comments in the comments section below. Have a beautiful day. Namaste. Enjoy the